Welcome back, everyone, to the LEC studio where Fnatic and Vitality are kicking off the Spring Playoffs. And as we just saw, the reigning champions didn't miss a beat. They started the series with a win, and we're going to break down the specifics of that. But first, they came in, they picked Vitality. People were wondering why. This is exactly why.
Yeah, and I actually think here in the first game with the draft, we got basically everything we expected to see from Vitality. It's almost like a dream come for them in the first game. They're on red side. They can get a counter pick for Cabochard. That's obviously why they end up flexing the Lucian up to top lane. You have a ganking jungler. You have a roaming mid laner. And you have a safe bot lane. They don't need to do anything. They just need to wait for top side with Lucian to hard win, take the turret, and then rotate Cabochard around to get a big, big lead.
Yes, but immediately you do also see some factors on the other side that make you think, all right, well, Rekkles got that Vayne straight off the bat. You know, Nemesis likes that Lissandra a lot. So you know that Fnatic also has a plan.
This is the let's get past 25 minutes and we will win.
Yeah.
2 items on Vayne, 2 items on Karthus, and then this is whatever. It won't do anything. And we got to see that in basically every single fight. So it's on Vitality to not make mistakes early, because they're the ones on the clock. They're the ones who need to actually do well in the early game. Level 1, we talked about how Fnatic had great level 1s. You know, they always try and invade in and get some sort of advantage. And we actually get to see that here as well. Because if we just look at the minimap, what Fnatic wants to do is they want to move in and go here to try and force Mowgli to actually start down on this side. That means you cut the map in half. That means Bwipo is safe. He won't get ganked like level 2 or level 3. He's a happy man. But if we actually start running the clip here, you will notice how Vitality, they've seen this before. They know what's actually happening. So Mowgli, he scouts, checks the invade. He has a ward down behind him as well, so he knows exactly what's happening. And if you look at the minimap down here, you will actually notice how the bot lane, mainly Jactroll, starts moving up to this mid lane. And that means he can actually fight. Fnatic, they know. So if we actually just take a quick little pause right here, take a look at the minimap, you guys can see how Jactroll, he was here. He was ready to fight for the red buff and force Fnatic out. So Mowgli gets to start on top side. And he now knows that Broxah is a little bit delayed, which means after this red buff goes down, he can invade in. And then he's the one pushing Broxah to the other side of the map. And we're just quickly going to follow Mowgli, get his red buff. Everything right now is great for Vitality, because now Cabochard, he can just start pushing. Mowgli gets the advantage on top side, still has 2 camps left he can do. Great. This is what we want to see.
Yeah, I mean, this was exactly what we talked about. And also important to mention, it was in a game versus Vitality that Fnatic pulled that level 1 strat. So they did their research. They knew what they were going to do. Mowgli was not predictable. He reacted immediately. And it's all great. You know, they've got their comp. They've got their strat. They withstood the storm of the level 1. But then Deficio. Break down the next couple of levels for us.
Well, first, they get rewarded for the smart start. You know, we have topside pushing in with Cabochard, which means you can actually roam up with your mid laner, Jiizuké, coming on Attila, and of course Mowgli being ready to dive. So this is what you want to do. Meanwhile, the bot lane, they're just farming. Yeah. It's great. We're all clapping. It's fantastic. No one is dying. Except for, of course, Bwipo up here, because, yes, you can't really do anything 1 versus 3. Now, sadly, it starts going a little bit wrong. You have the advantage. Cabochard is Cutlass. He's winning the lane hard.
You're watching this. You don't think this guy's ever going to escape.
No, he's not going to escape. He's not supposed to escape. Look who's coming. 2 guys as well. Moving up here. Boom, they're going to go in. Worst case, you know, they will kill him. It's all fine for now if you are Vitality. But man, this is where you get some of those key plays from key star players like Bwipo. Instant comes in there with the hourglass or with the stopwatch, doesn't die, baits Cabochard in, and then I have no clue what happens here. Like, so Mowgli comes in, Jactroll's right behind him, Jactroll's like, go, Mowgli, you can go, and then Jactroll's like, wait a minute, I don't want to kill this guy, and he just leaves. Why does he leave? No one knows. Anyway, Mowgli also dies. Bwipo is now the hero. First big mistake just happened right there for Vitality. Jiizuké, yeah, I don't know. At this point, you know, it couldn't get worse.
Let's put ourselves now in the minds of YamatoCannon and Vitality. You played everything perfectly. Then you do this. And on the other side, there's a Bwipo. He loves this kind of stuff, you know. His predecessor did it as well. He loves this. We saw his reaction. Now this guy is in the zone. And now, what do you do as Vitality?
Well, normally you actually just go back top lane and you try and kill Bwipo, and they manage to get a kill there. You get the turret, and you don't actually change your plan. So that means bot lane is still supposed to just farm and do nothing else. But sadly for Vitality, here comes the second mistake. The first part, though, I want to highlight is actually the perfect setup if you are Vitality. This is exactly what you want to do, because if we pause right here and we open up the minimap, notice how the bot lane from Vitality, they respected the 4-man potential tower dive. So they walk away from the turret. Great. Step number 1 completed. Step number 2, you can't really see it behind this one, but Jiizuké is recalled. He's actually ready to ult down to the bot lane and assist his team. And that's why you see Broxah get scared and flash out. Even though it was only 2 people, well, Jiizuké could have joined with Talia. So this is perfect. Everything is awesome right now from the bot lane. And then, I don't know why this happens. We talked about this in the pregame. There's some pride a little bit, especially with someone like Attila. He likes to go for the kills with Jactroll when they see it. You know the enemy team have just been bot lane with 4 players. And you also know that this lane is not supposed to do anything from Vitality, just farm while they're winning topside. And yes, you might panic a little bit because Bwipo got those kills, but this is where everything suddenly goes in favor of Fnatic, because now the lane on bot side with Vayne gets a fight.
Vayne and Rekkles.
And Rekkles, he gets 2 kills. But so, of course, these guys are still down here. They literally just left.
Yeah. And for this, when you watch this, you know, okay, it was starting to go south for Vitality, and this is where it actually seals their fate, because you know that Fnatic is now not going to give that lead away anymore.
Yes, they completely outscale here.
But did you see enough convincing things to say now, okay, this is it completely, this is a 3-0, they're tilted off the face of the earth, Fnatic is super strong, or where are the opportunities for Vitality going forward?
I think Vitality would actually be happy to rerun the same draft, play the same game again, because they showed they knew what to do. Dive top lane with 3 players. Great. Sure misplay. That was a problem later. Bot side, Jiizuké was protecting them. They were backing away from the tower dive. They knew exactly what to do if you then just remove the fight after where they go for Rekkles and try and kill him. So if you actually replay the game, there's a lot of good things from Vitality, but 2 big mistakes, 1 top side, 1 bot lane, and then it's dead even in gold, and these guys heavy outscale. Yeah. And then it's wrong.
Then it is wrong. We talked a lot about what Vitality did wrong. Let's also talk about what Fnatic did right. They kept their cool and they played their game plan rather to perfection, which makes you think that they are still in that mindset of that winning streak they're on. They have their eyes on that trophy.
Yeah, and I think for them, Game 1 shows why they picked Vitality. They literally knew exactly what was going to happen. They knew it get past 25 minutes. Then this is the gold graph all of a sudden, and it's game over.
It is game over, but it is not series over, because that's why we have a best of 5, and we're going to see if Vitality can bounce back in game 2 as we leave it to the casters for picks and bans.
Thank you, Sjokz. Of course, if you are a Vitality fan, you have to hope so, because while everything did go right in the early game, we saw Deficio and Sjokz talk about it, there were those slip-ups, those individual mistakes that turned against them so quickly, and Fnatic just does not feel like a team that you can give a gold lead to and expect to come back against.
I mean, also, it seems to be that Fnatic have Vitality's number, and they recognize that they're a team that even if they get these incremental advantages in the early game, they're unable to snowball and to close with it.
Yeah, and I think that you look at those mistakes, and they definitely sped up the process for Fnatic, but even without those missteps, I'm not sure if Fnatic or Vitality are actually able to use that early game lead and snowball to a victory. I think Fnatic had the idea of just sucking Vitality into these 5v5s, and in that sort of scenario, Vitality just were not well equipped to win.
Which is why I really want to see a change up. Like, I don't mind Vitality's style of playing the 1-3-1. That's what they've been practicing with. That's what they should, you know, don't reinvent the wheel when you get into playoffs, but they do need to take more consideration into how they want to coordinate team fights. If you know a team like Fnatic has a strong team fighting history, you need to at least think about that when you're organizing these compositions. Play something that isn't like a Lucian, can still have that power in the dueling phase, but also brings utility in team fight presence.
I like that. I'm also going to hit you with a simple one. Ban the Karthus. It just makes every fight harder to play. It makes 1-3-1ing more difficult. It is a nightmare champion to play against. And clearly, while we may have thought that Broxah was the key to the Fnatic early game, he can just AFK for the lane phase and everything will be fine on that champion as long as he gets a few items under his belt. Now, we enter picks and bans for game 2. Or will enter shortly. We're going to see what the adaptation is. Will it be an adaptation for Cabochard? Will we see something completely new for Vitality? A lot of questions to be answered.
And reminder, it is Fnatic again on the blue side. Their previous 3 bans were Draven, Jace, and Hecarim. Vitality's previous 3 bans were Sylas, Nocturne, and Rakan. We'll see if anything changes, and so far, it looks exactly the same.
And in the past, we used to have 1-3-5 for side selection, 2 and 4. Now the losing team picks their side. So Vitality have opted into this red side now, have opted to go once again for these potential counter picks for Cabochard on the top side.
And now banning away the Vayne, making sure Rekkles, who got so many kills in the early and the mid game, cannot be on that champion. I think a Karthus could very well follow. Instead, it is the Rakan, so you expect now the Karthus still being the primary first pick because Broxah looked so dominant on it.
Absolutely, but still hovering. The Kai'Sa as they did last time, kind of teasing us, and now it's going to be locked in once again. So surprised to see that one go through. However, you have to feel like Vitality must have a plan to adjust, or are they going to go for the salty run back? This is a classic. They might just try the same draft again.
Well, I think they're going to run back the start of it, but I think the big change that I would like to see Vitality make, Frosk, you pointed on it earlier, get something that is lane dominant for Cabochard, but also has a big output in the team fight. I think that this Jarvan very well could be looking to go up into the top lane because the Lucian will not be played again.
Yeah, I agree. And if Lucian is grabbed here, I think it will be by Attila, and it'll be a Lucian Braum bot lane. So I think there's emphasis that now that Fnatic don't have access to a Vayne, to grab it here.
What is the option going to be? What are they going to opt to go for? Of course, the Rakan banned away as well. Does make the Xayah a little bit less appealing, as we have seen that champion rising in priority recently on 9-6. But a lot of questions here. This is at least one change that will be forced in the draft, and I imagine maybe we don't see the priority on Rekkles, and it looks like instead Bwipo's blind pick Aatrox will be locked in.
Yeah, and this is the Aatrox that was banned in the second rotation from Vitality in the last game. So because Fnatic see the Vayne banned away, they say, okay, we don't have any AD carries that are still that high priority. Let's get something here for Bwipo that's not the gangplank. Bwipo wants some more firepower in the top lane.
And I think it's about the mind games here, because we talked about how, you know, there's probably going to be a pick for Cabo where he wants to have that side lane pressure, but also the teamfight utility. If you see the Aatrox locked into the Jarvan, that dissuades Cabo from looking for that matchup, which is why now suddenly you see the reach for Kennen.
And really, this is exactly what we wanted to see. You wanted to pick that can build a lead in the lane phase and then can heavily impact team fights, and that is AP top lane Kennen to a T.
I love this pick here from Cabochard. Jarvan can give so much support to a Kennen in the laning phase to try and bully out the Aatrox in that match. But of course, the team fight is going to be very deadly. So while last game we were looking at Vitality to never group up as 5, this is a team that can use the pressure of a Kennen in a side lane to push the wave and then collapse and look for the team fight.
But it's still the same core identity, at least with these 3 picks just on the board. You want to make sure that Cabo is the beneficiary of a lot of your resources, a lot of your attention, because we've seen Odoamne how potent and powerful an AP snowballed Kennen can be in both team fights and a side lane.
It can be so hard to deal with if you are a team like Fnatic, but they have Aatrox in the top lane. So while last game it was Vitality making mistakes and giving over kills when they dove Bwipo up topside, now post level 6, it becomes near impossible to actually single out that champion.
Going to be very difficult. See what the options are. Alistar taken away. Rise going to follow. Now the Sivir as well. So taking away some of the late game win conditions that Fnatic might try to bring to the table. Of course, last time we saw a Tristana banned away on the side of Fnatic. Can't imagine we'll see it banned again. Is it something that could potentially go into the hands of Rekkles?
I really like these bans here from Vitality because when you see these first 3 champions from Fnatic, you say, hey, they don't have a whole lot of hard engage. Right now, their best option is Lissandra coming in on a flank and trying to isolate a member on the backline. Fnatic, a Sivir could have been great for them. Now they really need Hylissang to carry a lot of weight with his pick. Whether it's something like the Galio or perhaps the Thresh, it's going to be very important that he can start these fights off for Fnatic.
Galio seems like the easiest option here, and I really like the fact that Attila with the Lucian also banned, because if Lucian's not banned right here, he's fine taking the Lucian Braum, and you expect that it's going to be the Tristana. By Fnatic banning the Lucian and Attila denying the Tristana away from Rekkles, how deep is he going to go? Is this going to be a Xayah? Is this going to be a Jinx?
And one thing that I love for the side of Vitality is that while Attila does not have the safety of the Ezreal, there is now more late game insurance. You have the Kennen who's better in team fights. You have now not an Ezreal in the hands of your bot laner, so you could, in theory, match toe-to-toe late game in the team fights, but Rekkles is responding with firepower of his own in the Kai'Sa.
Kai'Sa, maybe a Thresh alongside it as well. I do think it's very important to point out that when Fnatic are bringing one primary engaged champion, because Thresh isn't going to do it, it's just the Lissandra, having the Tristana is so powerful. Having that one button that can knock the Lissandra out of the fight, can buy space for your backline, is going to give Vitality a fighting chance here.
And frankly, unless Rekkles really performs on this Kai'Sa pick, I feel like this was a big miss to not grab something like a Xayah. You are against a Jarvan. Xayah has so much protection if you see that they're all going to go in and try to dive on back to you. So Rekkles needs to be picture perfect on this Kai'Sa.
And here's the Zoe from Jiizuké. I asked for it in Game 1's draft. This is one of his favorite champions in the mid lane, and it's so good at looking for engagements, whether it's on a single target or just a bubble from long range going through a really fat wall. Vitality, they heard the criticism. They said, we can't play the super split push style. We are going to group up. We're going to have so many more tools to find fights, and this is going to put them in a much better position.
And it does feel like it keeps some of that core identity of having that stronger top side, saving that counter pick for Cabochard. But on the opposite side, a lot of changes coming in on the side of Fnatic. A safe blind pick for Bwipo once again. This time something a little more powerful than a Gangplank, but once again, my eyes just go back to Rekkles on this Kai'Sa, and I have to think how much pressure is on him to perform in what is going to be a very difficult match.
Going to be so huge for him here. Rekkles did so much work in the last game on the Vayne. Now with things changing on the other side, with so much dive coming his way, he will have to step up on the side of Fnatic, and it hasn't been hard for him in the second half of the split or in game one. This man has been on a roll, and now Fnatic, with a 9-game winning streak, do not want to stop.
One of the cool things about Kai'Sa, though, is, again, if we talk about how Fnatic's compositions kind of have these blueprints of being able to play out into a side lane. So the idea is, if Vitality do get their style, if they do play solo side laners, things like a Vayne can also duel out into a side lane. Things like a Kai'Sa can also swing out with a W.
And I'm going to have to cut you out there, Froskurinn, because we do have Laure standing by with Vitality's coach, and we'll see what he has to say about the series so far.
Thank you very much, guys, and thank you, Yamato, for joining me. Everything didn't go as planned during Game 1. Even though pressuring top side was a good idea, so talk me through the changes you made, especially the Kennen pick on top lane.
I think I was very happy with the draft. I think we had a good draft. We just misplayed in a couple of scenarios, and I think it's all about just adjusting how we play in-game. I think the draft is on our side, and we will continue to improve throughout the series.
All right, and I saw you talking to Mowgli in the end. What did you say to him?
That's a secret. That's
a secret. Well, without waiting, let's dive into Game 2. So up to you, guys.
That's a throwback. What's the secret, Yamato? What's it gonna be? For now, the secret is Cabo running forward, proccing that Klepto. No bag of gold, sadly, would have been a nice way to start this game. But once again, level 1, an explosive part of the game for both these teams.
And while it's usually Fnatic making the level 1 moves, my eyes were on Vitality. Look at this, Cabochard, the #1 top laner in the spring regular season, voted #1 for the first all-pro team. It's Cabochard, and he's in a position now to try and carry his team with both a champion that can fight in lane and in the fights.
Yeah, frankly, I put Cabochard as my MVP. I know a lot of people will grab someone like Caps, but I just felt that Cabo had, let's say, different tools to work with than the likes of Caps to have a very superstar performance.
And now, of course, the pressure just continues to mount on him because while Vitality have drafted more tools, more late-game insurance, let's call it, it's also still Cabo in what should be a winning matchup for him, where he is expected to get a lead, because we know what happens with the team fighting Kennen when he gets behind. It's not a very strong pick.
No, it's definitely not fun. I think it is worth pointing out here the sort of dynamics of this top lane with their rune choices. Because on the side of Fnatic, Bwipo is going for the Arcane Comet on Aatrox, which isn't something you always see, but is very good specifically up against Kennen. Because Kennen's biggest weakness in top lane is he has no form of innate sustain. And that's what makes rune choices like the Kleptomancy, where he can get some extra potions, as well as the Domination Tree, where he will go Taste of Blood and Ravenous Hunter, become so powerful, because on this Kennen pick you are constantly tanking minion aggro because you're walking up, you're auto-attacking to proc the Klepto, and that's going to chunk you out in lane. With the survivability tools, he's going to be in a much better spot.
But now we see a departure from what was the game 1 strategy. They think they're safe, they think no one's going to come. They think it's just going to be topside, but they're oh so wrong. Rekkles trying to make it out to safety. He can't click the Lantern, and that first blood taken out for Vitality.
And that is a combo that Vitality know how it works, because Fnatic were the ones that made it. This is the Tristana Braum, the ability to immediately proc the Winter's Bright, to jump on top of someone at level 2 and just nuke someone down. Mowgli didn't even have to be there.
It's just a beautiful play on so many different levels. It's Attila taking the jump at level 1, and it's Mowgli changing his path. He went from red buff straight to bottom side, and now with Jiizuké, they're trying to punish Broxah, who's trying to counter jungle up here.
Broxah's gonna be in a tough spot. He's gonna be sleepy. He has to be dead. There's literally no way out here. Beautiful start for Vitality. They were strong in game 1. They're looking even stronger in the early game.
It's such a good early game play here, and it's Mowgli. And this is the secret, I've got to say, this is the secret that YamatoCannon was telling him before the game started. He's off to a great start.
And it's ingenious pathing from Mowgli. The fact that Broxah just saw that Mowgli was bottom, the mentality is like, I can walk into this guy's Raptors camp. This is free. I'll at least get to trade back some sort of experience. But Mowgli just hoofs it across back to find Broxah on Raptor camp and gets a free pickup.
And honestly, we look across the board, this is exactly the kind of turnaround, exactly the kind of start that Vitality needed coming into game 2, and we can take a look back at some of this action as it played out. We'll hold that thought for a second, though. Jactroll now moving down for a little bit of vision, and Fnatic very wary now, you can tell. Suddenly worried about the rinse and repeat, but Mowgli has returned to the top side of the map.
I like what Jactroll is doing here with the very deep vision to make sure that they can catch Broxah at any point. The game plan seems to be that we are going to find Broxah at every turn as we take another look at that replay.
And it's just such a good start because it's Jiizuké flashing forward for the immediate Winter's Bite and Attila with the W at level 1. They're maybe even looking for more kills because if you get the first blood, that's going to reset. And I think the pathing was super important as well because it was Mowgli going straight red buff on top side to the bottom lane, and Broxah, who changed his pathing initially. Last game he started blue buff, got invaded on. This time he went to red buff to go topside, was nowhere near to try to react.
And of course, as we look across the game, wondering where the next point of action is going to be, as it has already been incredibly explosive. 1K gold lead, 5 minutes in. This is what we expected from Fnatic in the second half of the split, but this time around it's Vitality with the big lead, and Broxah not spotting that ward is going to be crucial as they move forward. Mowgli will have perfect information on his jungle pathing.
It opens up the options for Mowgli about where he wants to attack next or where he wants to farm next, and he actually pinged Broxah. He's sprinting towards this Karthus.
Yeah, he can just run on in here now. Teleport's going to dissuade him. There's also a ward that Mowgli was walking over, but I think it is worth calling out that this is a Mowgli playing for the bottom side of the map now. I believe Fnatic would have seen him EQ in towards the pit, and without mid lane priority, this is going to be a bit of a risky move here from Mowgli. He's going to have to leave.
And to be fair, they did this in the previous game, and it feels like this time around, Broxah was ready for it. Last time it was an Infernal, and Mowgli was able to sneak it away. This time with the Ocean, it's not going to happen. But Jiizuké heading down, ready to get something kicked off as Jactroll steps forward, trying to extend this play here, the leap forward, one more auto. Attila going for these big trades on the bottom side, trying to extend a bit of an advantage here. Mowgli now moving down. 3v3, but both sides are just going to back off.
It almost looked like disaster. I kind of held my breath for a moment because I was like, oh no, Attila and Jactroll, they know that Fnatic are on the bottom side. Why are they overreaching here again? But Mowgli smartly covered for them, also cheating down, denying Broxah the reach around to land the wall of pain, and Attila and Jactroll still in safety.
Yeah, Attila gonna get hooked up here. Hylissang, will he pull the trigger with Broxah waiting in the wings? They're looking for the counter gank.
Trying to keep it going, looking to stack some concussive blows, but immediately the TP's coming back. Fnatic classic. Jactroll now in trouble, is all but set to die. Bwipo now stepping forward. Can he get out of the change? Does manage to step away. Jactroll just barely maybe going to be able to live, but the flash forward. Broxah going to be able to grab it in the end.
It's a beautiful punish from Fnatic to have Broxah waiting there, to have the TP come in from Bwipo, but also a massive mistake from the side of Vitality. Cabochard had just reset and used his own teleport to get back into the lane. Bwipo had his up, so Vitality only ever had the opportunity to have 3 members in the bottom lane, where Fnatic, they brought 4.
And it just has to be said that there just seems to be a desync between Vitality's bot lane and the rest of the map. This is time and time again that Jactroll and Attila are the breaking point for Vitality, not just in this playoff series, but in the regular split.
And you can feel the momentum off of this play as well, because they have Mowgli hop over the wall. They think, we can get Rekkles, we can make this play happen, but there's a TP coming in. Again, no Kennen on the back half, so Bwipo's able to bring enough CC here to lock down Jactroll and finish him off for a kill on towards Broxah, who we know completely dominated Vitality in Game 1.
And it's frankly a double-edged sword. You know, we're excited to see the Vitality are diversifying themselves, that they're playing around the bottom side, that they threw down the gauntlet and said, I've got your pick, Rekkles, and now I'm going to play through the bottom lane. But Attila just cannot make it happen for his team.
Ooh, and this is going to be a difficult spot for Bwipo to find himself in. The stun not going to connect from Cabo in the end, but trading the ultimate for very little there. Flash as well, still down for Bwipo. So in the end, a favorable trade for Cabochard in terms of summoner spells, but obviously health very much in favor of Bwipo.
And Cabochard, of course, going to have a CS lead, and now Bwipo with no flash and no ult, and the wave pushing against him at the time being, that's just a little... That's brutal. He's able to check it. He knows he lands the W. The Arcane Comment as well, in case he's not able to figure that out. No, it's still really hard for him to see us up here in this lane. I wonder what the response is from Fnatic on the other side, because they don't actually have any play to go on, because both bot lanes just reset.
Yeah, Mowgli's about 75% to level 6, so he'd have to sit around for quite a few minions sharing the experience, so rightfully just kind of backs away from that one.
And laning against Bwipo, it feels like always just comes with a tent. If you want to shut down Fnatic, it feels like so often that is the name of the game, and especially on the side of Vitality. For now, Cabo is building that excellent early CS advantage that we expect from him in this winning matchup, and Mowgli going to make sure that some tower plays are going to go in his favor as well.
Now, what Mowgli is doing might look crazy to some because he's staying around top lane for so long, but they have such good vision control on the bottom side. He knows there was no counterplay coming in on this side of the map, so they're trying to completely zone Bwipo off the tower, not go for the dive because that's still a little bit risky, but it leaves their bottom lane with some risk of their own if Nemesis finds a rotation down for the dive.
It's also the fact that it's an Ocean Drake, and now that you see that Nemesis is making that dive, that you're still dealing with both summoners on Jactroll and Attila. having access to the flashes, and then it's a Tristana and it's a Braum. So like Deficio was saying, step 1, back away from the tower. Step 2, make sure that you get something else on the top side of the map.
So we see a complete trade here because it was Vitality that zoned Bwipo off the tower for about a wave and a half up top side. The same thing just happened towards Attila and Jactroll on the bottom half of things, but you have to wonder, like, what is better, to have an Aatrox down in CS or an AD carry Tristana down in CS? And I think that's going to put Attila at somewhat of a rough spot here as Rekkles cashes in on both minions as well as these plates.
And there's no Herald here. So we are just seeing the Ocean Drake being given over for free. That's going to make a lot of these lanes a lot easier for Fnatic. The jungle, especially Broxah, in a position where he can donate future blue buffs because that Ocean will keep him topped up in the jungle, keep him clearing quick. So a difficult spot to be in, because for top lane, especially when you're living on that island, Bwipo having that extra regen is frustrating, but now potentially overextending as they're going to try to get the play started. Will the ulti even come out? Bwipo just going to get taken down instantly.
Mowgli has been up here for the last 2.5 minutes. It's just a ridiculous tent that's been set up. If I'm Bwipo, I'm probably like, he's still here, honestly?
Yeah, I mean, it's a huge investment of time on the side of Mowgli, and Bwipo, ultimately, he does have to farm. He's going to be knocked down quite a bit, but this is what the turnaround now for Vitality, because they were sort of losing. When it was going even with the denial of the Aatrox, the Tristana, I think Fnatic had the edge. Now that Mowgli got the kill up top lane and is looking for this Herald as well, that's going to give Vitality the tools now to try and knock down some more towers.
And honestly, perfectly timed then in the end to get this play in their favor, but Fnatic looking to respond with something of their own on the bottom side. A few more tower plates, a bit more gold into the pocket of Rekkles and Hylissang, and getting this Kai'Sa rolling. Of course, you know, 2 items, a very strong spike for Kai'Sa still if she wants to go for the full evolution route.
And notice now how Fnatic are actually moving around the map, because it's no longer Broxah and Nemesis coming towards bottom lane, because I don't think they are fully confident in pulling off a dive themselves. Instead, it is Broxah just hard clearing his jungle, trying to get as much golden experience as he possibly can, while Nemesis, when he pushes out the wave and has nothing he can pick up, walks bottom lane and tries to deny away from Attila. So it's Fnatic now, with the knowledge that Mowgli is always topside, really just min-maxing what they can gain on the map.
And constantly threatening this bottom side. You can see Fog of War, not a lot of information for Vitality. They can make some guesses, they can make some assumptions, but it's a consistent commitment of 4 members to the bottom side, and with 1 tower plate standing, or 1.5 here, it looks like Fnatic will just be able to barrel down and take out this tower. And getting this tower first before the Kennen is going to put Vitality in a bit of a difficult spot.
Especially because, as we keep kind of asking this question, what's better, the Aatrox being behind or the Tristana being behind? It's 3 items versus 2, but Bwipo in mid.
Well, that thought Bwipo has now used the ultimate. It's going to be a sleepy Aatrox. They're going to try to burn through here. Resurrection coming out. Will be able to walk away safely. So had the ultimate, had that get out of jail free card, will not be punished.
But back to the point, it's this idea that in both Fnatic's compositions, by taking a Kai'Sa and a Vayne, not only do you have late game scaling potential, but you have champions that spike very hard off of 2 items, whereas Attila will never have that luxury. So if you look at the likes of the Aatrox, of the Kai'Sa, even of the Karthus, yes, this team can hyperscale and win past 30 minutes no matter what, but at 2 items, they are so powerful.
Yeah, I think the top side of the map for Vitality is well equipped to sort of battle at that same point, but no, the Tristana really does need to wait for that 3rd item so you can hit 75% crit chance, really make the most out of that Infinity Edge. And now it's 3 members on the bottom side, and once again, Bwipo being bullied just a little bit.
And this swap does mean that we're going to see some priority on the top lane for Fnatic. Kennen, of course, going to struggle if 2 members do appear there. Going to have to be willing to commit to a big play, but it's just tower plating for now for the side of Vitality. But this wave will start to disappear, and as it does, Bwipo does not hesitate to go back in. Jactroll pull back. Bwipo has been getting a lot away with a lot of dirty plays this game, and it looks like this game will be no exception.
For real, man. Bwipo is literally one who does not have the World Ender, by the way, is walking up, clearing the waves, and Vitality are like, I guess we just let him do it and lose our own tower at the same time.
This guy is, I don't want to say lucky, but just teams lose their minds when they approach Bwipo.
Your absolute overwhelming desire to dive this man blinds you. Now there's a TP. Oh,
really?
Guys, leave Bwipo alone. And it looks like Vitality, realizing that their only play here is to fully commit to the bottom side. You can see Rekkles on the top side. Fnatic are going to have the tempo advantage, no doubt. But it's a desperate TP to try to get something back on the side of Vitality. But this is going to be their first tower of the game, as they haven't been able to get anything else. And Fnatic, this is their second.
Now on the other side of the map, Jiizuké has completely run himself out of mana, and there are 3 members of Fnatic in the mid lane. Oh, wait, what?
That tower's still there. They've lost control of the bottom lane. They've lost control of the top lane.
Eventually, Frosk. Don't you worry. But it takes so long.
Okay.
This is actually disaster, because the thing is like you were saying, Jiizuké was out of mana because he was just trying to hold the fort on the mid lane tower. That now is taken down to about half health. Nemesis is probably going to clear this wave and reset himself, but Fnatic now can just 5-man mid lane and shove this down.
Exactly. You hear me and Frost sort of losing our minds about not being able to take that tower fastly in the bottom lane.
It delays so many backs.
Exactly. It's about the timing plays here, because Fnatic are able to sort of get back onto the map a little bit quicker. Jiizuké still hasn't reset as well, and the only tower Fnatic have yet to take is this mid lane hour, which is already at 50% HP. So now Jiizuké has the blue buff, can hopefully try to clear away these waves, but those are the things that have to be running through the minds of Fnatic, because this is a team that is so good at using advantages, finding windows, and that's what the timing gives them.
And you can see on the bottom there that the plates taken is actually very similar. The difference is that all of the plates are very focused for Fnatic. That's 2 towers down, only to the 1 on the side of Vitality, so they're going to get a lot more map control there. And now it just feels like we're once again in a situation where, yes, Cabo feels pretty comfortable on a side lane. Yes, Jiizuké seems okay, but that bot lane is just going to struggle as we move further into the game.
Now here's the thing though, is we've been fairly critical, I think, of Vitality so far in this early game, but it's a different story when it comes to the team play than game 1, because game 1, Fnatic had the scaling, they had the team fight, Vitality had nothing. Oh boy.
Hold on.
He's gonna get out scot-free, but the difference is now Vitality are the ones with the...
What? Jiizuké! What? Did you forget about the... They always forget about the Karthus. Ladies and gentlemen, you have 200, 300 less health than you think you do, and that means that Broxah is just going to grab a kill.
And these are these uncharacteristic mistakes that you can just not make against one of our top teams like Fnatic. You know, if Jiizuké survives there and he's able to wave clear, you're delaying a little bit more. I'm like, you know, the issue with Fnatic's comp is they don't have the hard engage if Nemesis isn't also helping them push that mid lane. Zoe able to absorb 3 people's pressure and stalled out for Vitality, but he's caught. He's chipped away. He makes a mistake.
I think it's the pressure of the moment here for Vitality, because we've seen it from their bottom lane, their mid lane, mistakes that they just should not be making. This is a playoff caliber team. This team should come into this match and be able to contest, but all of a sudden, it's these moves that you don't expect to see out of this squad, and it has to be the moment where they know they're 1 game down. They just made a couple of misplays. It felt like Fnatic had more control over the map, when in reality, this is the game now where Vitality can play the waiting game a little bit. Tristana is one of the best AD carries in the late game. The range she has is so powerful. They have teamfight tools. Just don't go in 1v5.
Have to be careful about the risk that they are going to take. What options they are going to go for. Nemesis throwing the claw over, threatening Vitality, and you will see Attila revealed now in the mid lane. We check in on the itemization though. You talk about stalling for the late game. We expect 3 items on Attila if you're on the stall for the late game plan. On the opposite side, we already mentioned it for Rekkles. 2 items is the name of the game for that Kai'Sa. Of course, the Ginsus and the Storm Razor here. So not too far off that point, and that's a terrifying spot to be in. Unless, of course, Jiizuké decides to one-shot him. But Hylissang is there to block him out. He's not going to get knocked out.
Yeah, they've got Cabo rotating over.
Yeah, Cabo is here. Vitality, they want to 5-man and knock down this tower. And with Fnatic split up in side lanes, they don't have the numbers to be able to contest.
Hylissang looking for the hook. Not going to find it there in the end. Rekkles will move back to the mid lane. Of course, Bwipo free in the side lane, though, to continue pressuring in. It is now 3 towers to 3. Vitality doing a good job of evening things up. And Jiizuké, it feels like some of these bubbles must just be a point and click.
Jiizuké, definitely one of the better Zoe players here in the LEC. But I really do like what I'm seeing now from Vitality and how they're playing their side lanes. Because last game, it was sort of a battle of attrition where they had to constantly just, you know, have Lucian in the side lane, push up, try to take towers, which they could not do. Now it is very different. Vitality are pushing the side lanes and using the responsive Fnatic, where Bwipo and Nemesis have to go to the sides and pick up waves to attack in the mid lane. And while it's not a team fight this time around, it is a tower which will later transition into Vitality looking for the engagements.
Hold on, Bwipo, maybe a 2v1.
Of course, have to be careful here as this has turned against Vitality once or twice already. But Bwipo now, I think, willing to take the fight here. If his ultimate does fall off, he's going to find himself in a tough position. Now stepping forward, realizing that he may have overstayed, but the auto attack actually going to block it, so he gets his health back.
This is real bad for Vitality.
Over, Rekkles on the way off, all it's going to take is a little bit of CC, and Kai'Sa's going to come flying in, and there it is! Rekkles on cleanup duty! 2 kills instantly picked up. Vitality once again overextend.
Attila just needed to wait half a second there, just a little bit more time before he could knock down Bwipo without giving him the full revive. But it's never a true 2 versus 1 with a Karthus in the game, and with Fnatic reacting on the other side of the map. Off of the back of that play, again, Vitality overcommitting for these small skirmishes. They lose 2 members, they're going to lose a tower in the mid lane, and full pressure on the map.
The flash play. Jiizuké now trying to sidestep his way out of there, but Broxah on a killing spree. Now locked up Mowgli. Oh no, he's just gonna get taken down once again. Rekkles grabbing the kill as well, and instantly a massive gold lead in the favor of Fnatic. 3K, almost 4K in their favor.
From bad to worse for Vitality fans right there. It's the fact, again, these very small mistakes they make, someone overstaying on the top side of the map. It's the fact that not only do Fnatic punish the overextension, but they've already got another wave prepared where Nemesis is like, guys, just rotate very quickly to mid lane. If anyone overstays, we pull the trigger. Haley looks for the flank. Suddenly 2 more members are dead, and the tower is gone for free. And Bwipo, hey guys, if you want to rotate top, I'm also fed this wave in.
It's just falling apart across the board here for Vitality. And if you look at the gold, you see where did these teams invest their resources early on? Well, on one side, it's Rekkles with a 2K gold lead. On the other side of the map in the top lane, it's Cabochard with a massive advantage as well. But we just saw Bwipo, even down in gold, is holding his own in the 1 versus 2, and Rekkles is scaling into this Kai'Sa monster in the late game. Let's check it out one more time in style, because again, look at the bar underneath Bwipo's HP. Once that times out, it goes red. That means it's low. Attila just has to finish him off.
And I'm not even gonna say anything for that one.
Bye-bye.
One man got deleted. That's really all that it is at the end of the day. Rekkles continuing to just be where he needs to be with the rest of the team. It's so easy for Fnatic to play this one out. They have a lot of mobility across all these champions to find these picks.
I mean, at this point, Fnatic are just sharks. They smell blood in the water. They're hunting Vitality and tearing them apart.
And really, I think you just always have to give respect to this Fnatic lineup, because you just... First half of the season, everyone, I think, thought that they were done. But the way that they have turned it around in the second half has been immaculate, and they just continue to prove, of course, on a 9-game winning streak after that last game, will move up to 10 if they win here, and they are looking pretty unstoppable.
And the thing is you expect, it doesn't matter. Fnatic, they're a very veteran team. They don't necessarily need a streak behind them to find momentum. For Vitality, this is a huge momentum-based team. This is still a very young squad, coming into their 2019 season of the LEC and going down 2 games. I mean, for me, that's like, this is going to be a 3-0. If Vitality lose here, I don't know where they find the fire, where they find the fuel.
Yeah, it's scary too, because Vitality, they had the momentum at the start of this game, right? It was Mowgli's, creative jungle pathing to get them such a big lead in that bottom lane, but then they face plant, right? They were going too fast. They just skidded off the rails, and now down 4,000 gold. Yes, they have the hope of a perfect team fight on the horizon, but with the way Fnatic have been playing and with the way they have been controlling the map thus far, it doesn't feel like they're giving any room for Vitality to sort of retake parts of the area.
And this was something that when we went back and watched the tape from Vitality versus Fnatic the first 2 times, it was always the fact that even when Fnatic lost, they felt like they were being the ones that were dictating tempo and pace. And outside of a very impressive early game from Vitality, they've just been reactive to Fnatic.
Ooh, and now I think you're kind of just waiting with bated breath. Of course, 2 items now coming in for Attila. The 3rd item going to be crucial if they want to go later into the game. And it's not a last game. There is a lot more options once again for the side of Vitality, but Nemesis clearly out for blood. Cloud Drake going to make it that much easier to close the distance. Nemesis ready to go in. You can see Jactroll now in trouble trying to retreat with the Unbreakable. Jiizuké stepping forward, but taking so much damage in return. Bwipo ready to fire there, but they're not going to be able to grab any kills. Still a lot of pressure. I take that back. We're going to wait and see. Where's it going to go?
Oh my word. Now look at Fnatic. They're going to go over here towards the Baron. I think it's just 22 minutes into the game, but that ult did so much damage, Jiizuké had to go back to base. Now he does have the teleport, so he can get back here on towards the map, but Vitality, they're going to have to check in.
And all eyes need to be on Mowgli. Doesn't have access to the flash, doesn't have access to the blast cone. He needs to flag and drag into this pit if he wants a chance.
Ooh, they're going to get a little bit of sight there with Redemption. 2K, Fnatic now retreating, not willing to take the risk. Mowgli stepping forward, though. They're immediately going to try to turn on him. But we're not going to be able to find the second stack of the Darkened Blade. They will force Fnatic off of the Baron for now. Vitality, are they going to look for the fight here? Big risk, but they might be willing to take it.
Yes, because they have Cabochard, who's level 14. Finally, the Kennen is actually grouped up with Vitality, so Vitality feels so confident right now.
Vitality also have minions here in the mid lane. They're trying to siege down under this tower. This is a very brief window of time where Vitality have control over the map because of the mistake. Go Cabo!
Oh! Immediately, Cabo trying to leap in. Broxah not going to get taken down, though. Cabo goes golden, but in the middle of the team, there's no ultimate available. He's just going to get taken out. Meanwhile, on the backside, Attila gets 1, going to try to find 2, but the stopwatch is there for Bwipo. And they're going to back off, instantly turned back. Now, Fnatic overstay for the Baron, but it's Vitality who overstay in mid lane.
Vitality, they had the window, but they went way too far.
Rekkles on a rampage. Instant TP into that pit, and it is Jiizuké versus the world.
Jiizuké, you're going to get spotted out, buddy. You're in some trouble.
Sidestep there, Sleepy Trouble Bubble, Hylissang, the hook not going to connect. Bwipo now chasing him down. World Ender going to make him so incredibly fast. Jiizuké just trying to buy time, just trying to stall, just trying to get anything done here, but there's so much damage going to be laid down on this Baron between the Kai'Sa and, of course, the Karthus as well.
Yeah, Jiizuké thinks, hey, if I pull the AD carry off the Baron, they can't take it. But there's still a Karthus inside of this pit, so at just 24 minutes, Fnatic will claim that objective. They're looking to go up 2-0. They're looking to carry all the momentum into Game 3.
And things looked so good for Vitality for a split second. It looked like hope had been reignited for this team. You know, Cabo finally grouped up with him, had the level advantage. He's been sitting off in these side lanes, just kind of doing his own thing. He's gonna get the massive Kennen ultimate, but read like a book. Fnatic just absorb the pressure, they back up, and eventually just turn it around as soon as Vitality overbite.
And look, it looks like a pretty good slicing Maelstrom. You know, he caught a lot of people inside of it, but he's between two towers, and the rest of his team could not follow up with any damage. The team fight ended up being relatively easy for Fnatic, and now with Rekkles sitting on 3 of his core items, the static shift as well, we see one more time. The initial engage from Jactroll did not hit, and then Cabochard goes way too deep. CC'd under tower. The front line of Vitality has no HP to stand up.
And really, it was just a trade of engages there. The Lissandra went forward and stopped Vitality from pushing any further. The Kennen went forward on the opposite side. The difference is, Fnatic are way in the lead. So after the Lissandra's dead, they've still got a ton left in the tank.
Not only that, but Fnatic's composition are also strong right now. There's still so much wind-up time for Vitality. So again, it goes back to this point. It just feels that Fnatic have Vitality's number. They know exactly how they want to play this series, and they're just 40 chess every single time.
Ooh, Nemesis could use the Protobelt to dodge the knockup, but still, the ultimate is there. He's now running for his life, and he will make it out. Flash is forced in the end, however.
It's about the best thing they could get in this situation, but you got 5 people towards the bottom side of the map. Rekkles just needs a few seconds with this tower to knock it down to Vitality. They need to find an engagement, it feels like, around one of these towers, because if they don't, Fnatic have the tools just split up the map, knock down these towers, and win without a fight.
And we're here once again. We were here last game where we said the miracle fight for Vitality is what's going to take for them to find a way back in the game. And we've said it before, and I'll say it one more time. They have the tools to do it. But it is still, feels like a nigh impossible task. It's a 10K gold lead this time around. An even bigger lead for Fnatic here in Game 2. And this Kai'Sa is terrifying. Broxah is once again at that murder Karthus point where his ulti is going to take half of someone's health away.
And if you talk about items, this is the second game in a row that Nemesis on Lissandra has gone for the Mejai's Stole Stealer as well. So you can just feel how confident Fnatic are in this game. Again, it's a 3-1-1 push at the moment because this top inhibitor is exposed. They are so close to knocking it down. You see Vitality have to send so many members to defend.
It also means that it denies that Kennen ultimate on multiple members again. By splitting up the map, by funneling everything into Vitality, they need to pick. You know, are we going to go for a pick, or are we going to try to flank the other 4 members? And they're picking neither. They're actually just watching themselves lose the game.
All 3 inhibitors are now set to fall. Baron buff still up for 45 seconds. I don't think Fnatic are going to go for the win here. Jiizuké desperately trying to get something back, clear out a few of these minions. But Vitality on their last legs here already in Game 2, only 26 minutes into the game.
You know, last game Vitality waited until all 3 inhibitors and both Nexus towers were down before they forced a fight. I'd really like to see them do it a little faster this game.
I unfortunately think that they've missed their window. So at this point, Vitality are saying, good news. We've got 3 farm lanes that will funnel into us, which means Tristana now has access to safe farm and hopefully can get to 3 items. Bad news, we're missing 3 of our inhibitors, and we have no control over the map. We can't go anywhere safely.
See, now if I'm Vitality, I'm like, good news, there's still Game 3.
And that is incredibly disappointing for a team that was in sole control of second for so long in the split. When Sjokz started to fall down, Vitality still stood near the top of the standings, but in these last few weeks, so many teams have risen up. Fnatic, one of them, OG as well, finding their place at the top of the standings. Fnatic securing 3rd in what was, for many, what felt like a miracle run towards the end of the split. Good news is that 3-item point is there, Froskurinn. Attila has, you know, the 75% crit chance. The energized attacks may be enough to reset in these fights, but they need to get something started in their favor.
And it is also nice that they do have a traditional tank. Mowgli, again, went for the Cinderhulk Gargoyle Stoneplate on the Jarvan, so a very true traditional tank, because Attila now needs to be able to fight front to back, and he needs Mowgli to create that zone, that space for him, and he needs to do it right about now.
Bwipo, though, now looking to push in for a bit more. There's a TP on the flank. Cabochard, it could all come down to this. One ultimate, but Mowgli's already almost dead. Cabo, where's he gonna go? Flash forward, wants to get in on a Rekkles, but he can't quite get into range. The stun is beautiful, it denies the engage, and Cabo, the entire team is gonna get taken out here by Cabochard flashing forward. He will get the 1v1 1-for-1 trade, but no. In comes the ultimate from Karthus. Fnatic now trying to clean house. There's nothing left for Jiizuké. He goes golden, but it's just a matter of time. The Skittle not going to be able to pop as the flash does come out, but Fnatic setting their sights on the base. Vitality finding themselves caught against a wall. Fnatic absolutely dominating across both of these games. They are 1 win away from taking the series.
Fnatic are just rolling in and making it look easy time after time. Vitality can pressure them in the early game, but no, this team knows how to play the map. They take every single objective on the map before finally running it down for the Nexus.
And I actually like the adjustments that Vitality made to their composition. I love the fact that they picked up the Kennen, who gives them that side lane pressure, but also has teamfight utility. I love the fact that they had the late game insurance policy in the Tristana, as well as denying away from Rekkles. But the problem then is not just the playstyle and the strategy that you're trying to execute, but the individual pieces trying to execute it. This is constantly individual player mistakes that are throwing the series away for Vitality.
Yeah, they were not macro mistakes, they were not draft mistakes. No, it was just those individual players. And that's sort of the hardest thing to talk about and fix going into the next game, because on one hand you say, sure, we just don't do that again, we don't mess up individually, and we should be in a good position to win that game. But on the other hand, there's no real change you can make.
And Fnatic is a team, of course, performing admirably, but Bwipo, I mean, this is just going to build, this reputation just continues to build, but this is a man who can tank so much pressure and remain relevant in the game. Last time, obliterate him. And admittedly, he was useless that game. But now we see Vitality try a similar strategy where they're willing to put him into the ground. They give the advantage pick to Cabo, but they can't get anything out of it. The Aatrox was still very relevant. The Gangplank in game 1 was still very relevant, and the Lucian just was invisible. So Vitality are just running out of options.
It goes back to this idea of responsibility, and it's really hard to look at a team like Fnatic and kind of figure out exactly what changed. People want to see something big. This guy used to feed, and now this guy carries. So obviously, this is what made Fnatic better. But it's so much more intangible than that. Bwipo said it's about trust, and it's about responsibility and knowing what you need to do in your team comp, and that's exactly what it is. Bwipo knows what his responsibility is to Fnatic. Absorb the pressure, and I know that the rest of the map will be able to step up and to carry.
And it worked out so incredibly well for Fnatic here in game 2. But to get more insight on that game, let's head over to the analyst desk.
Thank you very much, and I think Frosk summarized it there perfectly, and we will also be diving deeper into exactly how much Bwipo absorbed. I do also want to take a look at the team comps, because after game 1 we said, as Vitality, you want to take a lot of these factors and rinse and repeat, but make less mistakes. What do you think of the adjustments they made, Vedius?
Well, I think that the adjustments, I don't think there were that many
Camera's
changes.
over here,
yeah, but I was looking at the draft.
Oh, okay,
the draft.
sorry.
I don't think there were too many adjustments in the sense that you still got Cabochard, a winning lane that you could look to play around. They're still going up against the Karthus, so they don't have to be too worried about Cabochard. And when you're playing with a Tristana Braum, you do have a slightly stronger early game, which means that you can look to make plays, but ultimately it felt like Vitality came in with the same game plan, and it was just a matter of being able to execute better this time.
I think Fnatic made a really nice adjustment when they took Aatrox in the first phase, because in the first game we had Renekton and Aatrox being banned. They're kind of some of the safest blind top laners you can get. They're hard to tower dive. Aatrox especially, once he's past level 6. If you are tower diving him, which we saw them try to do with GP, and they kind of failed some of it, it's going to be even harder against Aatrox. So there was even less room for Cabo snowball, and therefore also less room for mistakes on Vitality's side, because Aatrox would be able to just kind of sit there past level 6 and hold for as long as possible. And that meant obviously the focus went bot side instead. And I think the Tristana pick, I actually think it was fine, and they tried to play around it, which was good. But again, you need to know when you're going aggressive and when you shouldn't.
Yeah.
But at the start, things actually looked pretty positive for them, because one of the highlighting players was Mowgli at the beginning of this game, and I felt like that he did find a lot of success. And this was one of the very early ganks. He actually decided to go from red to blue immediately into bot. And bear in mind, the bot lane of Vitality is still level 1. So we talked about how there is room to make these plays because of the Braum setup, and finding this quick kill was a great way for Vitality to start.
Yeah, because they were trying to get a winning bot lane now, because they know they're already winning top lane, and Mowgli can gank. And here, Broxah expects Mowgli to just do the 2 camps on his bottom side, the Gromp and Wolf still alive. So he gets surprised when Mowgli just runs straight through the mid lane and actually shows up here to kill Broxah. So it's a great start for Vitality, just like the first game we watched. But then it starts going wrong.
Yeah, and I think also some of the main criticisms we had against Vitality, where Mowgli is not reacting well to these kind of plays early, they had a much better game plan. But as you said, after that is where everything, once again, and in much the same matter as in the game 1 starts going south for Vitality, and we have him here behind us and on your screen also. Bwipo, this guy, I mean, we love to talk about him, he loves to talk as well, but when he does things like this...
Yeah, so at this point, obviously, we have Fnatic bot lane, they're taking the turret because they got that kill, Bwipo TPing down, they now gone top. Bwipo now holds on his own, and Jactroll takes a ton of damage, so now they can't really tower dive him, even though he doesn't have ulti available, and he gets to clear the full wave the first time, and he even sneaks back in here, waiting to see if he can actually get more damage on some minions to stop the turret from dying while they're getting topside. And at this point, Bwipo is able to do too many things for his team that just allows Rekkles to get further ahead.
And let me then ask you, if this happens 1, 2, 3, 4 times, how much of it is then Bwipo being great at deflecting, and how much is it Vitality just making the same mistake over and over again?
Well, I think it's a combination of the two. I do think at times in this game, Bwipo was definitely making some questionable decisions, but at the same time, the fact that he was able to limit the options of Vitality, try and punish as much as he could in those very small windows, delayed them a lot, which made it even harder for them to get back into the game. But at the same time, one of the things that we were talking about was that it's really difficult to find praises for Fnatic because honestly, it just feels like they're just watching Vitality lose. And these individual mistakes are really critical because it's just allowing Fnatic to get these leads that they then refuse to let go of.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think Bwipo, he makes some mistakes, and the game plan is solid from Vitality in saying we will kill him. Like, there's the moment where he doesn't have ult or flash, and he just starts pushing forward on top side, and he just dies right to a quick gank. But apart from that, I think it's almost a battle between can Bwipo die enough times before the bot lane of the bot lane of Vitality have now died too many times
More.
because they will like fly forward when Cabochard just TP'd back to his lane and Bwipo didn't.
Yeah.
And he TP's down to the bottom side.
I also think it's nice to track Bwipo's development because we know, of course, last year he came in, so has broke his hand. He had to be plugged and played, and he's dealt with some criticisms, I think rightfully so. And he also said on Euphoria, now this is the playoffs that I also have to show it. So this is a great start. And it also seems that that Fnatic that is just on the same page that we saw the last couple of weeks is still there.
Yeah.
Because it's very hard to say Nemesis played out of his mind or Rekkles played out of his mind. That machine is working overtime.
Yeah, and I think that's really interesting that it's the exact same way Fnatic are winning these games.
Yep.
It's once again, it's either you sack top lane and play heavy for bot lane, like they did here with the TP coming down early, or you swap it around if it's Bwipo getting the counter pick. But he's not getting it because obviously Vitality are red side, so they can always last pick for Cabochard. And then it just becomes the bot lane show, and Nemesis literally just pushes his lane and goes bot lane.
So Vitality chose blue. I get
Okay,
a mayor
trying to
for the
change it.
next one.
Okay.
And as for what you just said, I guess that makes sense because twice you were on red side, twice you made your plan as such with Cabochard with a strong pick. Now, what are they going to first pick? What is their plan? And are they going to change everything up, or should you still bet on that Cabochard?
Well, I mean, this time
Or
they could be the ones to look to prioritize the Karthus. Maybe
Yeah.
they're the ones that go for the scaling. But it's like, right now, I don't know if changes in the draft will be enough to change things for Vitality, because I just need to see them just play to their win conditions. And twice now, we've said the bot lane just needs to let topside win. And topside has been getting advantages to allow Vitality to get to a state where they can actually fight Fnatic. But the bot lane keeps making these mistakes, they get punished for it, and then we never actually get to see an even match between the two teams.
And that's where we now establish that the original Vitality win condition, it simply doesn't work against Fnatic. Because Fnatic, they will make less mistakes, especially around the bottom side. And that means you can't do this, Cabo will win his lane, bot lane plays safe. It simply doesn't work 2 games in a row due to taking fights you don't have to. Yeah. So I think with swapping here, obviously they want to try and get a mega power pick with first pick. And I think there's a chance they just go scaling and team fight. And say, listen, this early game snowball, we're not smart enough to play this style right now. We need to just try and go for something completely different, which in this case would be team fighting.
What if they just attack the bot lane then? What if they just go for like a Lucian Braum lane or a Lucian Thresh lane, and they just hard commit to trying to snowball? And if this bot lane is so determined to fight, then you put your faith in Cabo to be the surviving lane, and then you try and snowball bot.
We just have to remember now, Fnatic red side, they have all the options to counterpick wherever they want. They could counterpick support.
Bwipo will get something comfortable no matter what.
Bwipo could get a counterpick on his side, and then maybe Cabochard is losing, and then it's all about the bot lane. And again, it's not really worked for them so far. So it's very, very difficult. they probably have to realize that it's something completely different and surprising they have to do.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Fnatic have shown they're just a better team.
Yeah, from the side of Vitality, after, you know, last year and everything Yamato said about it's time for the titles, this would be the biggest disappointment, I think, ever for those guys. So they have to put their brains in there and think of a plan. Think of a plan to maybe beat Fnatic and maybe run the gauntlet and the reverse sweep. But on the other side is Fnatic. From 9th place after 3 weeks to match point against Vitality in the playoffs. Is there anything stopping Fnatic here in the spring split? Time will tell.
Origin.
But we're gearing up for game 3.
I knew you would.
Don't miss it.
They think no one's going to come. They think it's just going to be topside, but they're oh so wrong. Rekkles trying to make it out to safety. He can't click the lantern, and that's first blood. Broxah is going to be in a tough spot. He's going to be sleepy. He has to be dead. There's literally no way out here.
I can go. I have him.
Yeah, you have him.
Oh. He's dead. He's dead.
Nice. There's plans.
This is real bad for Vitality. Over. Rekkles on the way off. All it's going to take is a little bit of CC, and Kai'Sa's going to come flying in. And there it is. Rekkles on cleanup duty.
Kennen is dead. Kennen is dead. Tristana.
I have stopwatch. Tristana tank.
He flashed.
Can we go Nash? I basically Nash. Okay, listen.
Fnatic absolutely dominating across both of these games. They are 1 win away from taking the series.
What's for lunch?
Broccoli. Do you know who eats broccoli?
Children always do what their heroes do. Introducing Eat Like a Pro with Beko Home Appliances. Visit our website and discover our exclusive healthy FC Barcelona recipes to eat like a pro.